At one point or another, all of us were beginners in this photography world, and I want to go through some of the opinions we have as beginners that are just incredibly misguided, mis-whatevered, but still seem to live on through generations of new photographers. I'd like you to let me know what you think the biggest newbie thing is to ask, and hopefully with this video for fellow new photographers, we can help push you past the barrier onto the next stage. Now, the first one is something I really went in for. I was hardcore in this, but I did also shoot slide film, so I was a purist. But you've got to get it right in camera. Fixing it in post is cheating. Now, I'm a commercial photographer today. We fix it in post. There's a financial balance for us between what's cheaper, fixing it in post or fixing it now in camera. Is it cheaper to have the whole production stop whilst we try and fix something, or do we just quickly do something in Photoshop? Sometimes it's one or the other, but we absolutely will fake it. We will take shots and stick them together. Of course, if you're a journalist, a press photographer, you're not allowed to do that sort of thing. But most genres of photographer, or anyone just wanting to make a nice image, get creative. Who cares how you created it? Use a camera at some point, use Photoshop a bit later, then you cut it up when you printed it out, made a collage or whatever. It's still artwork. It doesn't matter what you've done to it. Don't be a purist. Don't set limitations as to what is and isn't your work. Just go with the flow. I love chopping stuff up, scanning it back in again, playing around with it for my personal stuff. It's great fun. Still a photograph. I'm still a photographer. So the next thing is sharpness, and this obsession with sharpness. Every photographer, and I know because I did this myself, if I can find one of my old pictures, I'll pop it up here. We try and take the sharpest possible image. We add clarity. Ugh. We add texture, then we sharpen it again, and then we export it. Because we want to get as much detail as humanly possible in there. And I know sharpness and detail are two different things, but that's where maybe we even went a bit too far, did HDR as well. Do you remember that? 2008, 2009, HDR everywhere, haloed images, oh, grim. But you all go through that phase. But let me tell you this, sharpness doesn't matter. A 50mm 1.8 plastic fantastic is sharp enough for almost all applications. It is rare that you need something sharper. For sure, when you make a lot of money later on in your career, go and buy whatever fancy stuff you want from Zeiss or Contax or whoever, but your lens is sharp enough. The amount of times I've been to camera clubs to do talks and stuff, and people are zooming in on the back of the camera going, does this look sharp enough to you? I'm like, sure, why not? Maybe yes, maybe no. Sometimes I say no, just to be a bit of an idiot, but there we go, that's me being a troll. On to the next one. Equipment matters. And this is not saying that equipment doesn't matter. I am loving shooting this on a 6K RAW video camera because the light behind me is changing. I've set this up myself. I've got light in my eyes, so I can't really see if my exposure is correct or not. There's no one else in here. I've got audio going into a great float sort of something bit file, so I can fix it all in post. I know, but it's very hard to do this by yourself. So I am currently loving this equipment because it lets me do stuff I can't do naturally by myself in camera, perfect straight away, whatever. But the actual kit you use doesn't matter that much. And I say this as somebody who's got a room full of kit behind me. The last job I just shot last week, I could have shot on a 5D Mark II and a gold ring lens and some Godox lighting. If I had that kit, I'd have used that kit. Of course, I have fancier kit, and you're going, oh, it's easy for you to say, Scott, you've got fancier kit. Yes, but I shot a worldwide ad campaign on a 5D Mark II, the gold ring lens and Bowen's lights, which are older than Godox, from the 90s or something. But it was absolutely good enough, did the job. I wasted years of my life in forums researching which lens was marginally better. And the thing is, you're going through 35mm lenses, you go through all these different options and test them all, and then someone hands you a phase with a blue ring lens on it. You go, well, they're all pointless because they're all nowhere near as good as this. This makes the difference between these negligible. Cameras the same. All full frame cameras, pretty much the same thing. Then you go and use a phase 150 megapixel back and you're like, ooh, this is an upgrade. Going from that crop sensor to full frame didn't make that much difference, but this here, this is the winning movement, medium format. But we don't focus on that as pros, but during the beginner years, focusing on which crop sensor, full frame, whatever it was like a huge drain on time. Looking back on it now, it's a complete waste of time. I should have learnt the inverse square law sooner, but there we go. I've mentioned this one before and I got hate, but I'm going to do it again because there's new people on this channel and I want you to hear it as well. Model photography is not a job. It's not a genre. Well, it is, but it's creepy. how do I say this without being like rude? I don't know anybody who's made a good career, charging predominantly female models to be photographed. That is what the consensus of this industry is. It's not a thing. It's not. You can be a fashion photographer. You can be a portrait photographer. But the models don't want to pay you. They want to get paid. Where's the business here? Sure, they get their portfolio shot. I know people who make money doing test shoots for top agencies. They make small amounts of money. But their actual big money, their main money, their big income, that's from shooting ad campaigns for fashion brands. And then slightly lower down is the shooting for magazines, which never pays well anymore. It is horrific. But if your current goal is to go and shoot for, I don't know, Vogue, I can only ever think of Vogue. It shows you the state of magazines. Just have a little think about it, because the money is going down and down year on year. Yeah, it's just not as good as it once was. But, we can now make loads of money shooting social campaigns. So swings and roundabouts. Okay, this kind of links into sharpness, and it's kind of a twofold thing. So there's the people who go, what camera settings did you use? Which doesn't matter. And that's something that new photographers all say, and I'll explain why in a minute. And the ones who go, what is the best aperture for this lens? So the two of them are equally ridiculous, but at the time you don't know this, of course. That's why beginners say it. That's why I ask the same thing. If I tell you my camera settings here, we're at 5.6, 400 ISO, 180 degree shutter angle. I've got a light coming in from here. Go and put those camera settings into your camera and see if it looks like this. It won't, because you're not here. You haven't got the light exactly here. You haven't got this light on 29.1% power. You're not in this room with this particular ambience at this particular moment in time, with this outfit on, with me sat in front of the camera. It doesn't mean anything. Likewise, the sharpest aperture on this lens, it is actually 5.6. This ruins my sort of story a little bit, but often I'm at 2.8. It's just really bright in here today, so we're at 5.6 to kind of bring it all down a bit. But at 2.8, it's not as sharp as at 5.6. But it doesn't matter. 5.6 might be the sharpest aperture. That is a fact of it, but the aperture I need is the aperture I need. Today it happens to be 5.6, so we're going to have to add even more grain than usual because it's too sharp. But normally we're at 2.8 or 2.2 or something like that. It's a bit soft and a bit gooey, but that's the aperture we need for the exposure we need for the ambience in the background to be correctly balanced with whatever light I'm bringing in. Have no choice in the matter. The camera settings you need are the camera settings you need. The technical ability of that aperture, whatever it may be damned. Now the last one is the biggie, and this is something I did, it's something I see other people do, and it is the biggest way to stop yourself getting better at photography, and it's doing one of these 365 projects where you take a photo a day. Now for sure, do one for fun and for laughs or whatever, and it's the same with like having that camera you take everywhere with you, your daily camera, whatever it is, and taking pictures every day. You do not have time day to day to take photos and critically analyze them to improve on them. Shooting more doesn't make you better. I don't have a camera in my... Everyone's like, what's your daily camera? Don't have one. I have my phone if I want to snap something I see, but I don't take photos every day to make myself better at photography. No. Did a shoot a couple of weeks ago, personally, my own work. Let it ruminate for a few more weeks, then we'll go, right, what can we do better? Let's plan. Then let's execute. Then let's reassess. Just shooting more will just make you better at creating more of the same images you already created. Your improvements will be very, very small. And if you shot 30 days in a row or shot on day 1 and on day 30, you'd be better doing that because you've got more time in between to learn and to plan and to be critical of your work. The biggest mistake new photographers make is they shoot too often and they don't critically look at their work or have others critically look at their work often enough. And that is what actually makes you a better photographer. Let me know in the comments below what you think, what yours are, or if you think I'm wrong. I'd love to hear that. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.